Hello, everybody. Dan Lucas from Credo here, and welcome to our 50 States in 50 Days series. And today we are going to be talking about the great state of Texas. And Texas was the 28th state admitted to the Union, and it was admitted on, December 29th, 1845. So, same year as Florida. Gosh, those are two great states that we really added to our union around the same time. And again, it never ceases to amaze me how fast our country just grew and just expanded. I mean, Manifest Destiny. I remember reading all about that back in school. And man, you ain't kidding. I mean, this country expanded so fast. I mean, it's unbelievable. And if you really take a step back and think about it, and as I'm going through each of these 50 days, it's just amazing to watch how the country sort of grew from one state to the next. Just fascinating. So I'm enjoying just the history part of this, and I'm learning through that as well. Um, but last time we had done Florida, and today we're doing another state that has no state income tax, but certainly no lack of incentives for businesses to do business in the state of Texas. And in fact, I'm beginning to get partial to some of these states that do really nice brochures on these state tax credits because these brochures are so nice to have. Some of these websites are very hard to navigate. It's hard to kind of see what's worth pursuing, what's not. Some of the narrative and stuff is hard to understand. So it's not necessarily a criticism because I want to encourage all the time if I can, but if you're in other states and you happen to be seeing this, man, there's some states that do really nice brochures that are very easy to understand for people. And I don't think it would really take a lot of time and money to put these together. I know Georgia has one where I'm at, I was kind of spoiled. I'm kind of used to that. But Texas is a really nice one too. It's called the Texas Business Incentives and Programs Overview. And this really makes job easy for someone like myself. But anyway, Texas, again, just like Florida, they have to look for other sources to raise revenue. So, of course, they have sales tax, they have property tax. What else do they have there? Oil, right? They have things they can tax there, okay? They have energy, right? A lot of stuff going on in that area in Texas, right? And they even have a lot of Gulf front property too there. So they have some good valuable real estate there. But it's a huge, massive state, obviously, right? So, and there's a lot of activity going on with all the major cities they have there: Houston, Dallas, Austin, right? And some of the, El Paso. I mean, some of these cities aren't necessarily as big, but they have a lot of big metropolitan areas, so they have a lot of sources of revenue. They have no state income tax, typically a surplus type state, like we talked before. But that being said, they're not just resting on their laurels. You can see when I'm looking at these incentives that they truly are trying to keep things prosperous there, right? So I applaud that for sure. So the first thing I want to talk about in the incentives and tax credits, because I think in Texas we're going to talk about them synonymously and not try to separate them out because they're calling them sort of the same thing, and a lot of times they're calling tax credits incentives, and so I'm just going to talk about these a little bit differently than maybe you're used to seeing. But let's see, the first thing I want to talk about is they have what's called the Texas Enterprise Fund, and it is really it has to do with like doing new projects in the state of Texas or new business or closing deals, et cetera, et cetera. They even use the term deal closing credit in their brochure. And you have to have this approved in advance, and you have to submit an application, but you can get an award anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000 per qualified job. So you have a venture to do in Texas, and you're going to have people in there that are getting jobs. You're going to get $1,000 to $10,000 per job. That is not pocket change. That could be some serious cash. So let's say you go in there and you're going to do a huge, oil development or something, or you're going to go in there and do a huge real estate project. You hire 50 people. We're talking big money, okay, on this type of credit. So definitely something to look at there. We have what's called the Skills Development Fund in Texas. And this is really made to assist companies in training people, right, and equipping people. Training and equipping is obviously super, super important, and Texas is recognizing that. You can get, $1,800 per trainee. And this program is actually not a credit. It's a grant, right? So you apply for this, and you can get $1,800 per person to train people in your company. So why you would not take advantage of this, I don't really know. I'd have to know some reasons why you wouldn't take advantage of this. It seems like if I was doing business in Texas, I would want to take advantage of this. It just seems like a grant. You might have to put in some work up front, and you have to apply with the Texas Workforce Commission, but why would you not do this? So if you have an idea on that, put a comment in the on the video and let me know why you wouldn't do this or who it might better apply to. Okay, there's something called the Self-Sufficiency Fund, and this is kind of a change of gears here. It's temporary assistance for needy families, and it is a fund that it gives you a tax write-off effectively. It doesn't have a lot of information necessarily about the exact benefit here, but just maybe be aware of it, that if it's something you want to contribute to, that they do have some incentives and credits for that. All right, they have what's called the Texas Enterprise Zone program. We've talked about enterprise zones before. It's sort of a rehabilitation or bringing prosperity to maybe a down and out area, giving people a hand up, that type of thing. And you can use this against state sales and use tax. Okay, so if you're in the state, obviously sales tax. If you're in a business, sales tax is a big expense no matter what, unless you're just in some exempt type business for some other reason. But it can be a very, very big tax, and it can dwarf corporate income tax a lot of times. If you're out of the state and you're doing some activity there, that would be the use tax comes in, and that's going to be huge, because even if you're not sure that you need to be paying use tax, which if you're not sure, you better check it out, because you might owe use tax, and it can be a very unpleasant surprise from what I've seen. But if you're out of the state of Texas, this is a very nice program to offset that use tax. And let's see, if you're building in an enterprise zone, so you're developing real estate or investing in it, because I think you can pass these through. It gives you a amount of $2,500 per job to maximum of $7,500. So $2,500 to $7,500 per job that is in that enterprise project. Now they have some different tiers and some different, it's kind of a graduated scale depending on how much money you're spending there as to how many you can get. And they also have some like retention of those jobs incentives. But if you're doing a project there in an enterprise zone, this is huge money. This is just sitting there on the ground for you to pick up. They also have something called the Double Jumbo Enterprise Project. And so if you're doing a huge project in an enterprise zone over 150 million, which we've had clients do projects that big, no doubt, you get a refund of $5,000 per job, maximum of 500 jobs created. Gosh, what is that? That's $2.5 million. That's a decent chunk of money. And they also have a triple jumbo. Wow. That's $7,500 per job, up to 500. To be over 250 million. So wow, I mean, you need to be looking at this, or this might be a great place to do a real estate project, because you've got a lot of profit. Looks like it's built in here. It looks like a lot of support from them. I'd have to check out the enterprise zones in there, but if you check out the enterprise zones in Texas, you might find a very appealing place to build. I know a lot of people have been building around kind of the Austin area, Dallas area a lot. Houston has a lot of they have a lot of liberal sort of building requirements, or next to none. So it's very easy to kind of build in the city of Houston or the metropolitan area there. So, if you're in real estate, it might be something just to check out, because you might have some good baked in profit here. Let's see what else they got. They have here's another real estate one. They have the Texas Capital Fund Real Estate Development Program. And it will give, let's see, this is a grant program. It can award $50,000 to $750,000. This again is going to be, looks like more in the enterprise zone area, but this is not a credit based on jobs or anything. This is just a flat out grant. Okay, so again, if you're in real estate, you need to look up these enterprise zones, or you might have built something that's in an enterprise zone. So you might have to go back and see if you can salvage any of these credits or incentives later on, or after the fact. Let's see, you can get state sales and use tax exemptions. So if you have manufacturing machinery and equipment, leased or purchased machinery, you can get the sales tax waived on that. If you deal in natural gas and electricity, there's a lot of sales tax benefits there, exemptions. If you have a data center, if you put a data center in Texas, and we've seen this before, you put a data center in a certain state and they give you a lot of incentives to do that. Doesn't have to, you don't have to have your full operation there, just your data center. So you put a data center there, you can really take advantage of that. We have the franchise tax exemption for business relocation. Okay, so if you move your business to Texas, you're gonna have to look this up a little bit because this to me seems like something that would be changing a lot or could be changing a lot. They might move the needle on this type of credit quite a bit, just depending on where kind of the climate of the legislation, et cetera, et cetera. And as we know, things are not totally maybe as boring and stable as they typically would be, especially in the state of Texas. So I would check this out. But you're going to get a tax exemption for moving your main office to Texas. So move your data center there, move your business there, double dip on it. I don't know, you might even be able to negotiate more. This is just in the state statutes. You might be able to negotiate more from the local governments, okay? So pretty cool thing to check out if you're thinking about moving states or if you're looking for a state that has a better, more favorable tax treatment to your business. Let's see, they've got economic development type programs. They have some, you can issue bonds there and get them to, a lot of times when you issue bonds or do an offering, there's certain taxes, tax stamps, fees you got to pay to the state. Looks like they got some favorable programs there for things like that. They have a Defense Economic Adjustment Assistance Grant program, and that's actually pretty cool. That is for, let's see, local municipalities, counties, defense-based authority. Oh, so if you're in any business that's related to government contracts, especially Department of Defense, I guess there's a lot of that going on in Texas. I really wasn't aware of that, but they have a lot of favorable looks anywhere from 50,000 to 2 million per project. Okay, so I don't know a ton about that business or that industry, but it looks like they're specifically putting that thing forward, or that industry forward, or that type of business forward as something they want to incentivize. Let's see what else they got. They have the Product Development and Small Business Incubator Fund. They call it the PDSBI. And it's a revolving loan program financed through original bond issuances. So it looks like a subsidized type seed capital program in Texas. And the fund provides asset-based lending with flexible loan terms, competitive loan to value and interest rates. So probably really, really low. And you can use the loan proceeds for a broad range of capital and operating expenditures. If you don't know, the Small Business Administration, the SBA, has a lot of very favorable financing for small businesses. Now, it's on a federal level, but a lot of the states have these too. And you can either go through the state or you can piggyback on the state or use them in conjunction. In this case, I would get with somebody who's an SBA specialist in Texas and talk to them about how you could use an SBA program federally and the state program from the Product Development and Small Business Incubator Fund in Texas. Okay, so if you're looking for cash, you need to look at this program. That's the bottom line. They have the Texas Research and Development Tax Credit. Again, research and development tax credits in the states, very popular and very common, and you can piggyback these off the federal credits. This is a credit that is a huge credit that a lot of people miss, and I don't know why. If you're interested in it, we do a lot of work in this area. Reach out to us, put a comment in there, we'll reach out to you, because a lot of times you can blow your socks off with how much money that you might be able to get and go back even in prior years and recover that as well. Okay, so this is a huge credit. Let's see, so in Texas, it doesn't say a percentage here. It looks like it's on sort of a matrix basis depending on what you spent and what you calculate as far as your federal credits, but they have they're pulling it out and highlighting this as a credit. I would assume it's pretty typical 20 or 30% credit, just like in the other states. Let's see. They have some other grant programs which are kind of cool. Like a lot of it is developing projects in different parts of the state that helps the state, or could be an environmental thing that helps them out. Could be you're building it in an area they're trying to get up and rolling. And remember, a lot of times these different areas in these states, part of the reason they want to get them, I mean, it could be political, yes, but part of it is they want to make the property worth more money. If they make the property worth more money, they have a bigger tax base. Okay, so it's not all altruistic all the time. I mean, a lot of it can be based on getting the entire property value of the state of Texas up to make their tax base get higher, right? And they can do that by incentivizing people to make the real estate there more profitable. I'm sorry, the real estate more valuable. Let's see. They have some Freeport exemptions, and if you're in kind of distribution, manufacturing, you're going to understand what that is. You can get some tax breaks on property taxes, like inventory stuff, or the goods that you're importing, et cetera, goods you're holding on to. Goods in transit. They have some goods in transit incentive. Believe it or not, sometimes they tax even goods in transit. A lot of states, their property taxes. Texas is going to give you a break on that. If you qualify, you're going to want to look into that. Renewable energy incentives. So just like we talked about Florida last week or yesterday, Texas has a lot of sun too, and they have energy is obviously huge in Texas. I mean, I think Texas could be energy independent if it wanted to be. And they have wind and solar energy tax exemptions and deductions. So if you're doing anything in solar or in wind, or if you're interested in that, you might be able to find an investment partnership to get into and generate some tax incentives for yourself there. And let's see, there's a lot of information on this. They have a Lone Star program. Looks like that's available to just public type of organizations, local government type organizations. But there is a ton of information on this. They have even a website dedicated to the whole thing, and it's it's seco.cpa.state.tx.us / if you want to check that out. Let's see. They have Texas Moving Image Industry Incentive Program. I've never heard the term moving image, but I'm assuming that's just like the film production credits that we've talked about in other videos. And it is, and you can get a cash grant from 5 to 22.5% of qualified in-state spending for eligible projects. Wow. Commercial and reality television projects are eligible for a cash production grant from 5 to 12.5%. Both live action and animated projects are eligible. Animated. Okay? You're not filming anything, but you're producing things. So just because you're not filming necessarily in Texas, even if you're just producing content, you're going to qualify for this, okay? Let's see. They have cancer prevention and research. They have some breaks on just general obligation bonds. It looks like they have a lot of incentives here to issue bonds for things that help, any activity that's helping the state of Texas. Looks like there is some altruistic stuff in here. Could be political, but might not be. Which they're subsidizing, so that's kind of neat. So, I mean, if you're doing any cancer research, or if you're involved with in the med tech space or anything like that, where you might be doing some cancer research, you might want to look at Texas. I don't know if you have to do the whole thing there, or maybe just part of the research, but if you can, save on raising any capital to do the work here versus other states, take a look at it. All right. That's it for Texas. That was another mouthful for a state that has no state income tax. I hope this was helpful to you. Again, if you have any comments on this, questions, if maybe I misspoke or said something that you want to correct or add to, please put it in the comments. I'm not here to try to be the smartest guy in the room. I'm not here to try to impress anybody or stroke my ego or anything. So I want to get correct information out there in front of people so they can save more money and pick up these credits, because it's a real easy way for me to add value to really to everybody or anybody that's watching this that could save some money on their taxes. So with that, I will bid you adieu and have a great rest of the week and a great weekend. Thanks.